Hi and welcome to Carmel's Kitchen. Today we're going to make a beef stew. So for our beef stew we have 500 grams of round steak which I've cut into small pieces, and I'm going to put them into seasoned flour. So I have my flour out here and a shake of salt and some pepper for the flavouring. So just before I do that, I've got my saucepan on here, and I want to keep my stew as healthy an option as I possibly can. So into my pot I'm going to use some sunflower flora cooking oil. Keep the calories at bay first. So in that goes, and we'll just roll it around the top there for a second. So I'm going to take my pieces of meat and I'm going to toss them in the flour to help seal it and put it in my pot and just lightly brown it for a couple of seconds. Now if you're doing this and you're doing a lot of meat, so if you're doing like a kg of meat, you might have to do this section a couple of times. So you could take the meat out and then just go and put out some more flour and back on again. So in there, into my hot pot. Oops. It'll only take a couple of seconds. Brown it up. You can see that it's starting to brown already. That's my hot pot. So always when you're heating up your oil, put your pot on or your frying pan and heat that up first. So there we are. So you could do this with round steak, or you could do it with rib steak, or just by stewing steak in the shop that's already cut up. But my advice to you is to cut that up another little bit. And wash your hands as you go. Now for your stew, you can either cook it on the top of the cooker in your pot, or else you can put it into a casserole dish and into the oven. Now, just turn down my switch so you can hear. If you have a heavy casserole dish, you could do this on this part on the top of the cooker. Okay, so for today's stew then I'm going to add in 1 onion, which I cut into chunks, or you could use shallots, and shallots have a much stronger flavour. We have 2 carrots, which I've just diced into chunks. We have about 150 grams of turnip, which I've just cut into chunks as well. We have about 5 mushrooms, which I've just quartered, 1 stick of celery, a tablespoon of tomato puree, and 3 cups of beef stock So 2 stock cubes I think you'd really want for this, into the water, and some boiling water in on top of it and dissolve it. We have some Worcestershire sauce. So you can get the Worcestershire sauce that's low sodium, or the old regular, the Lee and Perry, and some potatoes. So there's our meat, all nice and brown. Almost. So I'm just going to use a Pyrex casserole dish because I'm going to cook this in the oven today. So when you cook the stew in the oven, you get a much evener bake on everything, so that everything is cooked lovely and tender and nice and soft and easy, make it nice and easy to eat. So you could make double the amount that you want to eat on the day, and it freezes really, really well. And make sure when you take the meat out of the pot that you get all of the residue. So all of those little bits all have wonderful flavour. Okay, so now we're just going to add another little bit of oil. And when I say a little bit, it's just a little bit like this in there. That will only take a second to heat back up again. So I've put in my onion, and I also have in there 2 cloves of garlic. If you don't like the garlic, leave it out. But it's really good to add flavour. And in the winter, it's really good to keep you healthy. Wards off colds and stuff. So I'm going to turn the oven on to, my fan oven on to 150. If you don't have a fan oven, and an ordinary electric oven, turn that on to 170. A gas mark 3 would be good enough for this, and your stew will take about an hour and a quarter, an hour and a half to cook. It all depends on the cut of meat that you have. So there's my sizzling off again now. Just cook that a little bit, because if you cook the onion, well then you're cooking the bitterness out of them, and you turn them just a tiny little bit sweet. Into that now I'm going to add my carrots. Pass that around as well. Then I'm going to put in my mushrooms. Pass that around. And then we have our turnip. And do that all across. And our celery. So anything you don't like in the mix, leave it out. If you like parsnip, you could add a parsnip that's cut up into small pieces as well, as just like the carrot. Pass that around. Okay, so this is what we have going on now in the pot at the moment. So all our veg are all mixed up. And we can turn off the gas, and I can just do the rest here. So now I'm going to put in my 3 cups, which is a pint of beef stock. Stir. There. And into that, my tablespoon of tomato puree. Also. And we're going to just have a dash of the Worcestershire sauce. Good dash for the flavour. If I just add my meat then back into that. So you could just cook it in the pot now, add in your potatoes and leave it cook away there on the stove, and go back every now and again to give it a stir to make sure that it's not sticking to the end of your pot, or into my casserole dish. And make sure you scrape out all those good flavours in the little bits in there. And then I'm just going to add in some small potatoes in here. If you just have small potatoes and then you have one big potato, just make sure that you cut that in 2. Okay. And these should go nice and crispy on the top of your stew. Put the lid on top and into your oven at 150 degrees, gas mark 3, and we'll come back in 1 hour and a half and have a look and see how we're getting on. Okay, see you in an hour and a half. Bye. Anyway, welcome back, and here we are after our hour and 45, maybe 50 minutes, and we're ready to take our stew out of the oven. Oh, there we go. And always remember to wear your oven gloves going to the cooker. Don't try to do it with a tea towel. So we're going to have a little test first. So if you have a skewer, test. Okay, some of the potatoes are cooked. All the veg are cooked. And we'll just test the meat. We'll take a piece of meat. Get a piece of meat. And if I put it on my plate, and lovely, beautiful and tender. So then with our spoon, just give it a mix up. And ready to serve. So you can see it's got plenty of colour in there. And a little bit of garnish on the top. Bit of flat leaf parsley. And that's it. Oven cooked beef stew. Enjoy. Take care. See you next time. Bye. Don't forget, if you have a comment or you want to subscribe, just at the bottom of this, and all the ingredients and the menu will be on the screen as well. Okay, cheerio. Bye.